Hi. I decided that I wanted to have a friendlier void. I feel like I've been bringing a lot of frowny energy to the stream for a long time now. So welcome to the smile void.
Duh? Oh!
That's true. Matty Dog, thank you for 8 months. Very much appreciated. I am frightening him.
Someone needs to punish me.
Also true. Nuked, thank you for 138 months. Oh. But yeah, how are you? I'm not planning on becoming like an insufferable optimist or something. But I just feel like I kind of need to sort of just adjust my mentality a little bit. I have just kind of been like more downer than upper for a while. Know what I mean? I mean, I can force a category that doesn't exist. I think Twitch doesn't love that. I used to do it all the time. I used to do it all the time because there were games like retro games, stuff. I don't remember what all the reasons were, but like there's just stuff that was not in their database. Hanai. Hanai. But yeah, that's a special ability that bots have. If you have a command to set the category, they can just force whatever in there and it doesn't have to match anything. It doesn't have to match their database. I think that breaks things though. I think that's not how stuff's supposed to work. Wow. Why did you bark? That came out of nowhere, bud. You were just standing there and then you just barked. That was nuts. He was just like looking at me during all that and moving his ears around like he couldn't understand why like suddenly the tall dog just didn't stop making noises at him. Well, you made a noise at me first, bud. Uh-oh. Now Bun has got up on her I am also a tall dog chair to glare at me from a near distance. But yeah, I think I've been wallowing a little too much, as I am wont to do. I do that. I do wallow. Um, so what's going on? Work again. Had Monday off, so Tuesday had to become a classic Monday. That's just nature. That's the way of the universe. Uh, the cosmos dictates this must be the case. But that's okay. I feel like I kind of caught up to it all uh, as best I could. And then this week, I'm finally going to be talking to a money man. Hello, bud. I have been kind of struggling with how to do this for a while. So, kind of putting it off, kind of for potentially good reasons. It's kind of complicated. It is a Nigerian prince. He asks me to call him the money man, but it sounds like a really good deal. Um, I've deliberated for a long time on this. Uh, to be a little less vague, what I mean is a tax attorney and start dealing with all of that because Nakomi and I just really want to get into a house. We have wanted that for a long time. Um, and what I'm currently afraid of, and I've been worried about this for a while now, is that something dramatic happens with the housing market and we miss the window because things have been bad for some time. Rates are not great. I think rates came down a little bit. I will just go ahead and admit that I find a lot of the housing stuff to be um, convoluted and mysterious in ways that make my brain shut off because it's one of those things that's, over time become more and more and more financy, and the whole point of finance is to convolute. uh, but there's a lot of indications that the housing market is possibly on the cusp of a collapse, and that's that window I was talking about that I'm afraid about missing. Now, that said, if you actually look at like the last crash in 2008, the price of houses and stuff didn't really come down that much. It did go down though. I also have no idea about what happened with like loans and rates around that time, you know, because leading into the 2008 crash, they were giving mortgages out like candy. And that was one of the causes of the crash. And so, like, I don't know what it was like immediately after that. Like, we didn't have fucking shit at the time of the crash. So there was really, we were not in a position to even be looking at that time back then. And yeah, we haven't been for basically forever. Right. So the rates right now, I guess, are in the mid six, like 6 point something percent range. Um, we're also not we're not targeting something that's like wildly out of range, although we are trying to hit a tough to hit target, because what we're looking at, or what we would like to have, there's a few requirements. Number one, I want fiber. Sorry. That's an instant veto. So that's a hard requirement for me. I want fiber internet. And actually, I was very surprised to discover that some places have fibered harder than I even realized places were fibering. Um, there are some places, like I've been looking around Michigan, there's places that offer uh, 5 gigabits per second symmetrical. And if you're willing to pay business prices, you can get 10 gig symmetrical. The fuck? I didn't know that that was a possibility. I'm not sure I even really necessarily need to shoot that high. I would accept good old fashioned homemade 1 gigabit per second symmetrical. I would take that. Um, so the only real hard requirement is just that there has to be fiber of at least 1 gigabit per second symmetrical, and then I'll be somewhat satisfied. Um, but the higher options are certainly tantalizing. I had no fucking idea that you could go that fucking far. Absolutely bonkers. So that's one. Um, Looking for at least 2,000 square feet. My preference would be more, but it's tough. It's tough because uh, we don't want to overextend our means, right? Um, I would say the sweet spot for like in terms of like affordability for us, if we really stretched, if we wanted to basically have like a painful mortgage, like apparently seems to be sort of the standard that people do, uh, I think the farthest we could really go would be like in the 2,100 a month range. And then that varies that like it's wild because the fluctuations in like what's available for a place or for like a town to the next town to the next town, it varies so wildly because like if you go off of like the like you have a cap on the amount you want to pay per month. If a place has like a higher property tax for whatever reason, then that clamps down really hard on what's available to you because that's, there's places that have like nearly nothing per month property tax. And then there's places that have multiple hundreds per month property tax. So that has a big impact on like what you could possibly do, right? But anyway, so I'm looking for like at least 2,000 square feet. I would go for basically any amount above that that we can squeeze out in terms of affordability. Like 2,500 square feet would be way better. 3,000 square feet, way, way better. I want room to work with. That's always been something that's a struggle, is how cramped uh, I have felt in terms of the stuff that I want to do. So that's a factor. Um, so that's a bit of a more flexible one. Another thing that we want is to try to be more in a metro area, and that's another massive limiter because there's obviously a lot more stuff available in the boondocks, but then in the boondocks, well, kiss fiber goodbye. Amenities, forget about it. There are boondocks, but you lose access to everything. You know, even like sewer and water. You're looking at a well and a septic tank, and I'm not really here for septic tank. That's not my jam. I'm not I'm just not a country living kind of guy. So we would like to be more in a metro area, which would also provide more like job possibilities for Nakomi and stuff like that. So I think that's most of the like harder requirements. But those harder requirements are a pretty hard target to hit, as I said. Yeah, apparently you have Space Force now. Congratulations. Uh um sort of. I mean, there are kind of inherently weather requirements. I mean, part of the reason, the two like big reasons that we left Phoenix were number one, affordability, because rent was rocketing up into the stratosphere around the time that we left. And two, uh, obviously climate change. Like Phoenix is well on the road to becoming unlivable. And my God, I am so glad that we got out of there when we did, because that's all going to become so much worse now with the what's happened to energy bills. Phoenix is not only going to get lasered off the face of the earth by the sun, but it's going to get financially destroyed. Like everyone, you have to have air conditioning in Phoenix. It's not a choice, it's not optional. Literally, if you don't have it, it's life or death. You could fucking die if you don't have air conditioning working in Arizona. Well, in Phoenix anyway. Phoenix is like the hottest city in the country. Um, so that's becoming a massive problem there. I mean, the entirety of the existence of Phoenix has been, you know, man building an affront against God, essentially. Like, hey, let's go build a giant city in this unlivable desert that's insanely hot and has like no resources. So we have to have everything piped in from everywhere else. Uh, that's Phoenix. So yeah, that's I mean that's sort of a weather requirement. It's adjacent anyway. Um, One thing I don't love about where we are in Ohio, and sort of in general in the Midwest, is I don't love being in the tornado alley. But uh, yeah, I don't know. I've never been hit by a tornado in my life, and I've spent more than half of my life in areas that are tornado prone. So it's sort of it's a bothersome thing to me. I don't like the idea that we live in a place where there's a random chance that the sky just sends a finger down to delete your house. Random chance, it could happen. Uh, but probably not so great a concern that I'm going to be too influenced by that. Like if we find the ideal place and it still happens to be in the sort of general tornado alley area, whatever. The other weather thing would be like I really did enjoy the forever, like every single day blue skies of Phoenix, but that's something that's migrating north over time. And since we are choosing not to fix that problem, and in fact actually exacerbate that problem, then eventually the Midwest is going to kind of become like beachfront property anyway.
Dinner's done.
Okay, I'll start winding down here then. Thank you, Babby. Yeah, it does have fiber though. But the winters have steadily become milder and milder up north. So that's becoming less of a concern as well. Like I don't love the snow, as I've said before. I really don't like slush or whatever else. but it's tolerable. It's fine. Uh, we don't even need to reach that far, really. Food. I've been looking at places um, that are smaller than that, but still metro enough for our needs. The trouble is that the range that we are looking for, we don't really want to stretch outside of like or stretch beyond 350. And 350 is really kind of below by like 100 to 200,000 what the market really wants you to pay for houses right now. So it is slim pickings um, basically everywhere. What's funny is with all of my requirements and parameters, which really are not that crazy. It's mostly the pricing that does this. But when I look at Columbus, Ohio, when I zoom out on the map, there is a literal nothing for all of Columbus. There's just a massive dead zone in the middle of the state. And I really have to crank the numbers, like raise the price caps to get anything to even appear there. So that's how that is. And Columbus is not even like a crazy metro area. Let me take a look and see. Columbus, Ohio population. Not even a million. 905,748 people in Columbus. But it's like basically, I mean, it's the most expensive place in Ohio. It would be pretty all right for the types of amenities that we want and so forth, but the cost to get into a house in the city, forget it. I know. I was just telling a story, food. I was just telling a story, but also giving a little perspective in terms of like um that you don't have to like raise the parameters too far before it becomes like basically impossible. Let me look up the populations of places um, that we have been looking at. Yeah, this one's 473,000. Yeah, so this is what we've been the range that you said is basically the range we've been looking at. Somewhere in the 300 to 400,000 population range. It helps a little bit, but still slim pickings. All of the stuff where I've been basically talking about slim pickings, it's that range of population metro areas. Um, so, yeah. I don't know. It's a journey, but anyway, I've got to wrap things up to go eat. But to sort of put a ribbon on this story, um, I'm going to be finally talking to a tax attorney person this week so we can get a sense of what is actually possible um, for us to do financially. Like, can we get a house? Or will we be immediately vaporized by the government if we try to do that? You know what I mean? Like, can we resolve the past tax issue and get a house, or do we have to do one first and then the other? Don't know. Um, there's like a lot of weird rules and loopholes and hurdles and things like that. Like if you only have one car, the government can't take that from you. I think if you only have one house, the government can't take that from you. But I don't. It's just like we need to know for sure. These are all just sort of vibes, and that's not going to really work, right? So I don't know. That's the exciting thing happening this week. We'll get some sense, hopefully, of what we can do. But yeah, I have to. Oh yeah, but I mean, yeah, that's not. They don't. in this situation, they're not going to eminent domain us specifically. But anyway, gotta go. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Sorry for the late stream, but this shit happens. I hope you have a good night. I will see you tomorrow.